views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Welcome, good people of the Bronx and beyond. My name is Henry Ovalles, and I'm your host for Life and Art. On this show, we will bring you engaging and personal conversations with artists with whom you may not be familiar, people who have been working on their craft for at least a decade and are at a crossroads where passion meets necessity. We'll discuss creativity and inspiration with our guest artists, but also find out what it takes to balance the struggles of practical life while pursuing their passions. Our guest today is a New York City-based actress and comic. Her television credits include Mad TV, Judging Amy, and House of Buggin' with John Leguizamo. Most recently, she was seen on the acclaimed web series Get Some. Today, we learn about Tammi Cubilette's life and art.
Okay, it's time for Mimi's.
You going to bed, man?
Yeah, good night.
Good night, baby. Sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams. Oh, hey,
Mama, it's been a minute.
you want to do it?
If you're tired, we don't have to.
No, I'm not that tired.
But you're kind of tired?
I'm not too tired for you, puppy.
Oh, shit, yeah. Oh, yeah, Mama, right? Yo,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
come on.
Get on top.
Get on
Come on,
top,
Poppy, get on
boo.
top.
Ma, come on, baby. You know how I love how you grind your hips on top of
Poppy,
me?
you know how I love the way you move yours. Come on, I can't
Oh,
wait.
boo, I have to have my chula sitting over me. I love that. You know that.
Pound me out. I love to watch your arms flexing.
Ma, look. I'm gonna be like all dance hall style inside of you.
Come with it, shabarang.
Oh, baby, wait. You know, come on, Ma. You know I do my best work with me being on the bottom, because that's why I hit your spot, baby. Baby, let's stop bullshit.
On the show today, we have Tammi Cubilette here with us in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So Tammi, your connection to the show, we actually don't know each other. We're meeting
Right.
each other right now.
That's right.
Is you are acquainted with our executive producer, Christina Pagani.
I
We worked on a
am.
show together.
I am.
Zombie musical.
That's right. That's
So hopefully maybe we'll have some time to talk about that
we
a little
can.
bit.
I'd love to go down Zombie Lane.
Zombie Lane. Great. So let's start down Tammi Lane right
Okay.
now. Let's start at the beginning for you, Tammi. Where were you born? Where did you grow up?
Oh, I was born on the Upper West Side of Manhattan.
Okay.
Yeah, in 19. We don't need to talk about
All right,
it.
that's okay. The 19 years of that.
Exactly.
Very well. And you
Yeah.
grew up there
Yeah,
as
I
well.
grew up there my whole life. Went to school around there,
Got it.
and then went to high school in Times Square.
Oh, really?
High School Performing Arts.
Ah, I see. And what's your family history? Your parents?
My
and-
parents are Dominican, Caribbean. You know, my mom is Dominican by way of Aruba, and my dad was in the DR until he came here, and he actually lives there again. He
Oh.
retired there.
Very well. So your parents actually were both born outside of the United States,
Yep.
connection to the Dominican
Yes, sir.
Republic.
Yep.
I'm Dominican
Oh, yeah.
as well, yes. So what's your connection to the Dominican Republic? Have you visited?
You know what? I am embarrassed to say, I'm going to say it right here,
Oh.
right now in Life and Art, that I've only been once.
Okay.
My connection was more to Aruba because my mother, you know, you always
I see.
you're always connected to your mother's, you know,
Seems
connections.
like it, yes.
So she was more connected to Aruba, so that's where we would go every summer.
Hmm.
When everybody else was going to DR, we were going to Aruba.
Really?
And no one had heard of Aruba. At least people had heard of DR, but no one had heard of Aruba.
Yeah, especially here in New
Yeah,
York. Yeah,
so-
you know, it's a little,
Yeah.
a little Dominican Republic
Yeah,
here, especially
yeah,
if you're you
yeah,
know, in Manhattan.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about how your journey in the arts started. At what age did you start performing?
Well, for no pay,
Yes.
5.
At 5, okay, so pretty
Yeah,
early
just
on.
like for family.
Sure.
But I had always been a performer. You know, I have cousins who still tell stories about how I used to get up and sing, and no one else could sing with me. I don't know, I was weird. Like, I didn't want anyone else enjoying my performance. I just wanted to do it. So if anybody
Okay.
started clapping, I was like, no! And I would stop them, you know?
Right, this is
Like,
serious.
This is serious, there's no clapping, you know? And then I started performing and like getting paid to be an actor. God, like 22 around there, and I got a job with a theater company. It was my first paid acting gig, and I was so excited. I couldn't believe it.
Great.
Yeah.
And as far as schooling, did you go to college for?
Yeah, I went to, actually not for acting, just for like liberal arts. I went to SUNY Purchase, which is a fantastic
Yeah, it has
acting
a great
conservatory,
program.
but I didn't go there for that.
Not that.
No.
But then in high school, you went to a performing arts high
I
school.
did.
So
I did.
So I
Yeah.
guess you just sort of got satiated there.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know why I didn't go on to to college for that. I don't know. I guess I was just trying to figure myself out. And so I had 4 years of high school, and it was great. And then I was just like, I'm just going to go and live. And it wasn't until later that I started taking classes just on my own.
Got it. Yeah, and I mean, that's probably, I mean, you said figuring things out. I think most of us are still trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
But that's probably a smart way to go about it, to, live some life so that you could actually, then use that on stage or however. Do you have any siblings, Tammi? Or?
I do. I have a sister.
A sister.
Yeah.
And as far as your parents and your sister, any artistic influences
You
there?
know,
Are they interested in the arts? Or?
No, not really. I mean, my mom, if anyone was the culprit, it would be my mom.
Your mother, okay.
Yeah. She's deceased now, but she, that's okay. She was the one that was taking us to Broadway plays and musicals, and we used to watch Lucy together. Yeah. She encouraged me to, like, my first like stand-up bit, which was not really stand-up, but just basically I was imitating Richard Pryor.
Sure.
What was the movie, Which Way Is Up? I was imitating some scene, and it had a lot of cursing in it, and I could get away with the cursing as long as I was imitating him. And
right, it wasn't you.
Yeah, it wasn't me, and she loved it, and she would have me do it for family, and everyone would be mortified and scandalized. She's like, isn't she hilarious? But what's funny is that my mom, she nurtured that in me, but then when I decided to become an actress, she was just like, no.
Really?
Yeah, she wasn't, I mean, she wasn't into it. It wasn't that she said no because she couldn't stop me, but she just wasn't, she was just like, just get a job. Like,
she was scared. She wanted something more stable for you.
Yeah. But I was like, but this is your fault. Like, you did this.
You let me, do Richard Pryor.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
And is your father still with us?
Yes, he is.
And your relationship with him is good?
Yeah, and he was always really supportive. He was always like, I think he was an artist somewhere, before I came along or something, or had aspirations. I think everybody is, actually. I think everyone has some secret creativity that they, for whatever reason, don't let out or won't let out or can't,
Sure.
And so my dad had that too, but he was a bus driver, a New York City bus driver for like 25, 30 years.
Right, and he's retired now.
Yes, he is.
Very well. All right, so I must confess that in preparing for the show, I've seen some of your work, and I have to admit that I'm intimidated by you. No, seriously, it's mad respect, yo.
Oh, wow. Thanks, yo.
No, yeah, really, I mean, really,
wow.
really good stuff that I've seen. So talk to me then a little bit about your journey now into professional acting, that first gig with that theater company when you were in your early 20s.
Yeah, that was Irondale Ensemble Theater. They're a great experimental avant-garde theater, and it just kind of blossomed from there. I did that for like 2 years, and then I met this young man named John Leguizamo. I went to see,
Some of us may be familiar with him.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe. A friend of mine was ushering at the American Place Theater, and she saw his show, and she's like, you have got to check this guy out. He is so good. You're going to love him. And, try to see if you can usher. And so I did.
Right, that would have been one of his one-man shows?
That
like
was
Free?
Mambo Mouth.
Oh, yeah, the first, yes.
Yeah, and I went, and I was like, all right. And so I went, and I picked up an ushering gig, and I was blown away, just like floored. And the only thing I thought was like, I want to work with that guy. I'm going to work with that guy.
Right.
And it was just the way things happened. Then, like a few months later, he put an ad in the paper wanting to, put together a sketch comedy troupe. And every Latino in New York City came out. Everybody came out. And, he held like these improv classes. They were kind of like auditions, but they were in the form of an improv class. You know, it was like kind of framed in that way. And he just had like rounds of people going in because there were so many people that he couldn't do it all in one thing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you were one of the few.
Yeah, I was lucky enough that he got everybody's information, and I was fortunate enough to be chosen to be, I think he was trying to have like his own little like like how Spike Lee has like a group of actors he always
Yeah, that you
uses.
just always work
I think
with.
he was trying to do that too. He was trying to have like this core group of actors.
Fantastic. So let's actually stop right there.
Okay.
We'll take a quick break,
Okay.
and then we're going to come back and dig a
All
little
right.
bit deeper into
Sure.
that, and then the rest of your career.
Okay, wow.
So we'll take a quick break.
Okay.
More with Tammi Cubilette when we return.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today I'm just an aluminum can, but one day I could be a stadium.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
Teachers today are finding new ways to instill old lessons, proving that greatness can be found in everyday places and that you don't need to be famous to be unforgettable.
Welcome back to Life in Art. We're here with performer, Tammi Cubilette. So Tammi, when we left off, you had talked about ushering. A friend of you encouraged you to usher for John Leguizamo's one-man show.
Yes.
You sort of fell in love with that, as many of us did that
Yeah,
saw it.
yeah.
And then this sort of casting call came about, and
Yeah.
you got involved in that, and what happens next?
And then, so for those next few years, I would get called, by him to read a script or do a reading, or, I shot some video for the one-man show after Mambo Mouth Spikorama.
Yes.
I shot some video for that was shown in the stage play in the theater, and like that, it just kind of happened like that, and then. I think I didn't hear from him for a while, and then all of a sudden he was like, "Oh, I want to start doing this sketch comedy thing. Do you want to be in?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay." And that snowballed into House of Bug, and we were performing in the East Village,
Right.
And I don't know, someone from Fox or somebody came in and saw it and liked it, and
that was the first big break.
yeah, it was huge. It was
Yeah.
huge for everybody involved. For him, I feel like he had a lot on his shoulders.
I'm sure.
In terms of like he was like, the Latin Moses, like you have to lead the people,
Right, and he still tends to, I think, put a lot on his shoulders
Yeah,
that way.
yes, he does. But yeah, and it was a great experience. We had so much fun, and it was really like living the dream. Like I was really like, wow, this is exactly.
And how long did that run for?
Not long, unfortunately. It's funny because that was like the first Latino explosion, right? But they weren't ready. They really weren't ready. Fox was not ready. They just didn't think, that Latinos could be funny.
Right.
They didn't trust it. They were like, yeah, we know you are, but we don't think
Yeah,
the
just
rest
for,
of the world can handle it.
Yeah, the
you
white
know?
market appeal.
Yeah, and it was nonsense. So
let's talk a little bit about funny. You had mentioned that when you were younger, you were singing is how you started, and telling everybody not to interrupt you. And then we talked a little about acting, but you perform stand-up comedy as well.
I
correct?
have. I really don't.
But you don't consider yourself a stand-up?
No.
All right.
I have performed stand-up in the past, and it's great, and I'm glad I've done it, but oh no, I can't.
Right.
I can't.
Have you been involved in any other art forms? So singing was the first thing, and then acting, any dancing, or?
Just mostly performing, acting and performing sketches. I'm part of a sketch comedy troupe right now called Dirty Birds.
Okay.
And our first performance is September 15th.
Oh, great.
At KGB. It'll be on Facebook, if you.
Sure. Yes. No, we'll put it on. We'll promote it as well.
Yeah, so I like doing that. I like performing and just being silly. Like, for the most part, I don't know, I just think, everyone should laugh at the things that I laugh at. Everybody finds what I find funny.
Right.
Funny. So a lot of times I'm just with friends and we're just playing. And next thing you know, we're like, oh, we should make that a sketch.
Let's do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So funny has always been important to you in your acting career. Do you feel that you lean more towards comedic acting, or?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, but I don't try to play the funny,
Oh,
like
sure.
it just comes out that way. It happens, it just will manifests itself that way.
Right.
But it's not like I go, oh, you know, I'm gonna do this comedy thing, or I mean, sometimes you do set out to like, this is supposed to be funny, you know,
Right.
and those are great too. But I just find that a lot of the things that I do are not necessarily written comedically. They just, you know,
No, and that's
somehow,
the
that's
way
my
to achieve
interpretation,
it.
yeah.
Sure, and from some of the work of yours that I've seen, yeah, that's what it is. It just has to be organic. You play the truth, and then
Yes.
then it'll be funny. Because
Yes.
otherwise, if you try to play funny, a lot of times you're just
Yes.
going to fall flat
Yes.
on your face.
Yes.
You know, don't tell the audience what's funny. They'll tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So now talk to me a little bit about this web series, Get Some. You guys have one season out, right?
Yes. Get Some is a brainchild creation of TNA. TNA stands for Tammi and Angelo. The ampersand in TNA stands for Sonia, who is our director. And we have all known each other for, God, over 20 years, right? And
So it's your collective brainchild.
yeah, and we had always said, oh, we should do something, but we never did anything. And then finally, one year, Sonia was like, you know what? Let's have this be the year that we actually do it. So we got together and we started just writing little shorties, just little short films and shooting them, and we were getting a great response. And then we decided, okay, you know, like it's time to do the larger project. And
Right.
so Get Some was born. And we got together with our wonderful producers Joe and Gloria Lamort, and they also make up TNA, and so yeah, we're on KollidTV.com, season 1. We just finished shooting season 2.
Fantastic.
And it is going to be fire. It's so good. It's so good. I just recently saw a rough cut of one of the episodes, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, the production values are also on
Yeah,
site on
we
the
have a
show. I
great
saw
crew.
season 1. It's like, sometimes when you're going to go watch a web series, it's like, all right, we'll see. But no,
Right.
it's really top
Yeah,
notch.
yeah.
And a lot of, the actors, obviously yourself and Angelo and,
Yeah.
Liza Colon-Sayas.
Yeah.
So you got,
yeah,
you
we
got
have a
who's who
great
there.
cast. You have a great bunch of guest stars and cast, and it's
Right.
wonderful.
So talk to me about so you said you've been working with Angelo or known Angelo for about 20 years. I think you guys had a radio show, a radio web series that would go on as well. I remember growing up in the Dominican Republic actually, and like in the mid-90s watching Galavisión and seeing Angelo do some stand-up comedy there. And I was just like blown away by him and saying, oh, this guy's a smart comedy. I dig this guy. So I've sort of been a fan of his and following his career a little bit there. So,
Wow.
I'm very, happy to meet you and to see the work that you guys have been doing.
Yeah.
So can you talk to me a little bit more about that relationship creatively?
You know what? He's my brother. We have a great chemistry on screen. Like we mess with each other. He, we just know each other. We just know, like, I know when he's up to something. He knows when I'm up to something, and that just comes through, And then with Sonia, add Sonia into the mix. When she's writing now when she's writing or when he's writing, it's with, us in mind, with each other in mind, So it's just a really beautiful creative marriage,
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So actually, let's take a quick break there. And when we
Okay.
come back, I want to talk to you a little about the importance of creating your own work, how you feel about that and what it's meant to your career.
Okay.
So we'll stop it right now. Don't go anywhere. And we'll be right back with more from Tammi right after this break.
We finally bought a place.
You seriously have enough saved to do that?
We've been putting a little aside each month.
At the end of the month, we have nothing left to save. How is my account overdrawn?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Enroll, we say. We want you to be okay. Enroll, we say. Take care, people, for goodness sake.
There's a plan for every budget, so don't accept defeat.
Now you can get covered and still
buy me treats. You take care of your pets. Now it's their turn to take care of you. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn about your health insurance options.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today I'm just an aluminum can, but one day I could be a stadium.
it's hard. Like, when I turned 40, okay, literally at the stroke of midnight, I became invisible, okay? It was like, boom, gone, all right? When I was younger, in my 20s, man, I could walk out on the street in a tank top and shorts and no makeup, right? Now I gotta get dressed up like a drag queen to get attention. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you think that's funny? It's gonna happen to you. Keep laughing.
And we're back on A Life in Art with Tammi Cubilette. So Tammi, we had left off talking about the web series Get Some, which I'm a fan of now. Thank you. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the importance that you see about creating your own work, and if it was something that you sort of planned from a business marketing standpoint, or if it just grew organically, naturally. Talk to me a little bit about that.
No, I am of the generation of actors, you know, that are like, I don't create my own work. I don't write. People write for me, you write good stuff, I perform it. Like, that's how I had always resisted. When I met John,
sure,
and he was just like a man who, he created his own work, he did his own stuff. Like, that was the first time that I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. But I was stubborn. I was just like, I don't want to create my own work. Like, why does that have to be the way now? What happened to the days, like, you know, these people, whoever, Marilyn Monroe and, and then Ava Gardner, all these people, all these actors, you know, Dorothy Dandridge, they didn't write their own work, you know, they had these, whatever, big
and
studios.
even in the music industry, I mean, talking about, you know, the Aretha Franklins and Ella Fitzgeralds of the world, you know, you can be a songstress. You don't have to,
I was like, why can't I just be an actress? Why must I now be an actress writer? You know, like, why can't I just be an actress performer? So.
And why is it? Why?
You know, because the business changed, the industry changed, and, you know, especially with, you know, reality TV and the internet coming in, everybody has so much access to everything. Everybody can do everything, you know? So it was a long time coming, but I resisted it, you know? And Sonia was always a person of like, no, create my own stuff. I'm gonna create my own stuff. And so then I was like, yeah, you create stuff, you put me in it, you know? Like, I'll be in it, you know? And I was in one of her short films, Urban Lullaby. But then when we started doing this, you know, it just, suddenly it felt like it just shifted, like the power shifted a little bit, and it was just like, oh, it's kind of cool.
So it's relatively new for you.
Yeah, it's really new for me to be in this position where it's just like, oh, this is something that I helped to create, you know, like I've written a few episodes, you know, Sonia and Angela do the bulk of the writing, but I have one or two in there, you know, and they're always encouraging me to write more. I'm always like, no, that's all right, you guys. You know,
I'm a performer.
I'm pretty, you know. But yeah, it's so it feels now when I see the stuff on screen, I'm like, oh, I wrote that. Like, that's cool, you know.
Right, that's your baby.
Yeah,
you feel proud.
So now I have more of an ownership. It feels good to have a little bit of that.
Yeah,
ownership.
that's great. And yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying. It's basically the nature of the business that, you know, there was a time when there were, you know, 3 networks or whatever, or certain film studios, and that's the way you do it. But now with the internet and with all of that and YouTube and just the technology also has allowed that people can shoot, you know, films on their iPhone or whatever. So there's more content out there, which I guess is a good thing, but everything has, you know, its pros and its cons. In your case, I think it's a pro, at least for now, with what you guys are doing with Get Some, which I think is important. Yeah. And to, you know, create opportunities not only for yourself but for other, you know, artists out there, and particularly Latino artists as well, and for a different voice to be heard. So talk to me about that experience when you first saw, you know, the first episode that you wrote, and I mean, you're acting in it as well, so you're looking at it with the third eye. But
well, just seeing the whole season as a whole was just. You know, it's funny. I thought like, oh man, I hope everybody gets it. You know, like, and I've had people from all walks of life, all areas of my life, telling me how it's relatable, how they think it's hilarious, and I don't know. I don't feel like I'm tooting my own horn, but there's nothing like it right now on TV.
I'll toot the horn. I agree. It's great. Yes.
You know, there really isn't. There's like you're not seeing people like Angela and myself, and you're on TV right now. You're just not.
Right.
And so I feel like we are in a really unique position because we are unique. You know, and it's very exciting. It's an exciting time. time right now.
So then talk to me now about the difference of working on something like that and working on something that we talked about at the beginning of the show, like the recent zombie musical that you worked on, which is, I guess, was sort of, you know, being jobbed in there. Or
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I love musicals. I don't do them a lot. I really don't. I think that was like that's my second or third.
Right.
And it was a challenging experience, but overall it was fun.
Sure.
And I wouldn't change it for a thing. And listen, as an actor, who cares? It doesn't matter. Like, it was the best feeling, like going from one rehearsal, like zombie rehearsal, let's say, and then, oh, and I have a TNA meeting tonight. So like, that's the life that's my dream life.
Yeah.
Like, that's the life that I want, you know? Even with its challenges and all that, you know? Like, I loved, because it meant that I was working. I'm a working actor. So yeah, I mean, you know, when you're in someone else's play, you do what they tell you, regardless of whether or not you agree or you think, well, I think this can be better, or this can be different.
Right.
It's like, okay, this is yours, all right, let's do it, you know, and you just go out there and
Let's
you do
follow
it.
your
And
vision, yeah.
and you know what's great is that the audience knows too. The audience knows, like they don't kill the messengers. At least our audiences, you know, they got it. They were like, you guys did it, you know,
you
like this and this and that was, but you guys did
You
it.
did your thing,
know?
the performances.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's
Yeah.
great. So talk to me as we, you know, get close to ending here. One of the things that we like to talk about on this show is how, you know, to balance practical life with the career in the arts. How have you subsidized your art
I don't know.
over the years? How are bills paid? How do you keep the passion going?
You know, well, I have a master's degree in educational theater, so
I see.
I work as a teaching artist pretty frequently.
And you find that fulfilling?
Yeah, you
Great.
know, I could probably go and work for the DOE, but I really don't want to. So I do that, and I just have odd jobs here and there, and that's how I've always lived my life. You know,
Right.
just always like I always have some sort of straight gig, and then it's my creative life.
Right.
You know.
Right, and you're happy doing
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I am.
Much more happier than you probably would be, you know, just doing something else.
Well, chained behind a desk for sure. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, if you had to, you know, if someone came and asked you for advice and tell you, you know, should I go into a career in the arts, what would your answer be?
Oh, wow. I would say yes. I would say yes, but also nurture other interests. Like that's the only thing that I wish I had done more of, was nurture my other interests, because I was so like, no, I'm going to be an actor, and that's all I'm going to be. Right. That now I'm like, oh, maybe can I do this, or can I do that, or, you know, maybe I can write, or maybe I'll start a blog, you know, whatever it is. Like I never allowed myself to pursue other interests because I thought it was going to somehow take away from my acting career, when it could have only enriched it, enhanced it, made it better. So that would be my advice to someone, you know, and, you know, get a job that pays well until your acting career, whatever career, jumps off, because it's hard. Period. In the end, it is hard.
That makes perfect sense.
You know?
And I think that that's actually a great way to end our show. Actually, I know it flies by.
Yeah.
It's really been
This
great
is
having you.
fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, as always, it seems like we've run out of time. And thanks to Tammi for sharing her life and art with us. And thanks to all of you for joining us today. Remember to find us on social media. Visit us on Facebook and YouTube at A Life in Art, and Instagram and Twitter at A Life in Art TV. And there you can catch any of the episodes you may have missed. We'll be back with more stories from emerging artists when we return with A Life in Art.